My goal now, honestly, with starting a YouTube channel is to be like you guys.
He's going to do a burnout. Let's go.
He sees that I'm okay. He starts yelling, and I'm laughing. I'm like, did you see that?
And then you just go straight for the backflip.
Because I crashed anyway. It sucked. I might as well look cool doing it. But he goes, I want proximity to near-death situations. You're too stupid to ever make it as a racer. And thank God freestyle came out. You know what? I turned down a multi-million-dollar contract to race motorcycles because I wanted to try racing cars. There's no amount of money worth what you're going to put your body through.
Well, Travis Pastrana, man, thank you for coming. This is quite an honor. Being the Life Wide Open podcast, I think there's no better guest to have that quite honestly lives their life wide open more than you.
Oh, I really appreciate you guys having me on. I like the three-wheelers. I like you guys went to Nitro Circus this last week.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks for the support.
Dude, we wouldn't be here without you. And I know you hear this all the time, but, like, we grew up watching Nitro Circus, like, wanting to be just like you. And we're nothing like you. We can't ride like you. We can't do. But I mean, I think without what you've done, we wouldn't be making the videos, and we wouldn't be sitting here right now. So it's super, like, it feels really weird for me, like, sitting here with you on our podcast. It feels so cool. So thank you.
It's been awesome to be able to make a living. Never growing up, just living life wide open, having a lot of fun. So it's always really cool when I see people coming up that did watch Nitro Circus or that and like my dad said, he's like, it's nothing new. He's like, we've been towing stuff behind cars and doing all this stuff. He goes, we finally have a platform now we had DVDs before YouTube, and now you guys with YouTube, you can actually go out, have fun with your friends, and try to make a living, travel in the world, doing what you want to do.
Yeah, dude, we hear the same thing, though. It's like, dude, if me and my buddies had video cameras and YouTube back when we were young, we'd be bigger than you guys, all that. But, no, I was pumped to see Andy Bell hop out of the van, dude. I was like, what, dude? I was sick because, like I said, we've just been big Nitro Circus fans for a long time. So
he hasn't cut his hair.
That's why I didn't really recognize him right away. He had the sunglasses, the hat on, but.
Yeah, so literally Jimmy Johnson way back when was like, hey, you got to be the biggest fan, and no matter what, through thick and thin, until I won a NASCAR race, he couldn't cut his hair. And then he kind of liked it, so he just kind of kept running it super long and like in a mullet. So, yeah, he's here to finally get a haircut.
It's a good friend.
Yeah, it's 15 years.
He's doing it today?
Only if I win. Well, that's what he said.
Oh, only if you win. Okay, yeah.
We made a big competition with Ben, dude.
Yeah, we made a deal. If Ben wins, we're going straight to Vegas.
Straight to with the Starks?
Yeah, we're taking the Starks to Vegas.
The rule has always been with here that you have to ride the vehicle home. So, like, if it's a helicopter, you have to fly it.
Might need a couple charges.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
We'll figure it out. Honestly, that seems like the least of our concerns right now is how we're going to get our Starks home. That's pretty low on our figure out list.
Pretty wishful thinking to have that problem.
This race has real, actual drivers like yourself, and then it has people like Ben. Have you seen the video of him hitting the tree in the unicorn?
Well, that was like a really short video.
Yeah, his quick one. I mean, it was the first turn.
It was a long video. I'm just saying, like, I was all excited to see it go. And it was just went into a tree.
Hey, it was second turn. Yeah. So, anyways, luckily
the brakes.
There's no trees today.
I just got done with like pretty much an hour-long podcast of Cletus just cooking me on it. So, and then everyone I've met here has brought that up immediately. So I've figured out that, word has spread that I'm a part of this race, and I think it's going to actually do me a favor because they're going to just get out of my way.
But, I mean, you got guys like Greg Biffle, one of the greatest NASCAR drivers of all time. I actually, I hired a ringer because this is a two-person race. So the first person's job is just to not crash the vehicle. Are you going first?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm going first. What are we doing?
So the second person then is really 99.9% of the race. However, I'm going first, so I'll be with you. Just like, I'm here for the show, man.
There's backup cars for a reason.
Yeah, the boys were just joking, like, oh, damn, dude, we should have thrown some tree stickers on the back of people's cars. So I'm driving around. I'm like, where is the tree? I mean, you're sitting pretty good. You got Noah, who's actually a NASCAR racer, who we got the privilege of meeting when we were at Talladega. Great dude. But, yeah, as soon as I saw that was the lineup, I was like, dude, we're so cooked.
There'll be your guys that are up front every time. But at the end of the day, there's probably a half-second difference between the best car and the worst car. And Cletus doesn't stack it. Like, Cletus has been in the worst car quite a few times where you can tell, like, okay, this person's good, but I'm flogging down straightaways. Or, like, my first time, we could qualify well. We ran okay, but it didn't have first gear. So I went for last every restart. So as long as it didn't restart, like, you're coming up. So they're old, Crown Vics. There's going to be a difference. Now, generally, one of your top drivers is going to win because one of them is going to be in a car that's decent. But Greg Biffle jumps in, and like I said, one of the greatest NASCAR drivers of all time, and he goes out there and he's running, 7th, 8th, 9th to some YouTubers that,
makes no sense.
But at the end of the day, it's a low horsepower car. You're pretty much wide open most of the time. This is a cool track because you got some zigzags.
Yep.
No trees though.
Do you have any advice for me?
I haven't won yet. I hired a ringer. Get a better person to run the second half.
Oh my gosh, I got Mike. Dude, I got this guy. I got Camel Guy.
Slow and steady.
Yeah, we have a flawed plan, it sounds like.
Yeah, I told Cletus this too. I was like, well, I know that you didn't invite us here for the competition, so I hope that we can at least provide on the entertainment factor.
The Sickos came out, that whole group, awesome athletes, worst drivers. I was like, in every group, there's like one redneck that can just drive. They didn't have that, but he stayed on the lead lap and actually had a decent finish at the end because we'll all be bumping each other. I mean, Cletus and I will be spinning each other every chance that we get. Like, we were 1-2 and spun each other back to, like, almost completely out of the race. But it was great. So,
Bumpin's racing, right?
Rubbin's racing, Harry. Let's go.
Rubbin's racing. Shows what I know.
Well, it's just a movie quote.
Dude, so you've done so many different things as far as, racing motocross to freestyle to rally car. Is it kind of fun being a part of just something that is just like so just low risk, I guess you could call it, of like, what's on the line as far as, sponsorships or anything like that, but you just get to go out there and have fun when you've done, about every race that you can imagine? At
the end of the day, it's already lined up. There's going to be a completely sold out crowd of car enthusiasts, of people that love motors. They love, they might be rooting for one of their favorite YouTubers, they might be rooting for one of their favorite drivers. They come from all over the country and they stay and they clean up the trash. Like, at the end of the race, they feel like they're part of this. It's so cool. So everyone goes out, signs autographs, but what other event can you fly in the morning, like not even that early? You go, you hang out, you sign autographs, you talk to everyone, you talk cars, you have fun, you meet some of your heroes, some legends, some past drivers, some up-and-coming celebrities, whatever it is. And then you go out there and you have the best time that you can possibly have destroying a Crown Vic where, at the end of the day, it's not a fast car. You're not going to hit anything that hard.
Then you just wipe your hands and walk away.
That's it. It's beautiful.
So obviously the Starks are the prize of today. What do you think about like the electric Stark Vargs? I know you posted a video a while ago riding it.
So electric is kind of killing motorsport in general. But as a rider and a driver, like, I love them. I don't mean that negatively. Like, my dad, it doesn't matter how fast they are. Like, I put him in a car, 0 to 60 in 1.2 seconds, all-wheel drive, 1,000 horsepower with an extra 200 horsepower boost. The car is the most fun thing you could ever drive. And you be going 100 miles an hour, break the wheels loose, and do a donut and never worry about stalling it. It just makes driving so much simpler. So these things, as soon as people really figure it out and they get the brake, where you don't have to change your foot to where the brake goes. And you can literally almost flip over frontwards and almost loop out in the same jump. So like a double backflip on these off a normal ramp, I can do like I'm doing a backflip, a single flip.
Really?
Go wide open.
Just because so much more torque.
And it'll spin too. So triple flips on these are so much easier. The guys are thinking quad
Triple
flips.
flips are easy.
No, even easier.
I know. It's just a crazy statement, though.
But even front flips, like if you're wide open on the gas and you hit the brake for whatever reason, you don't have to worry about the clutching. You don't have to worry about stalling. I'm thinking like bike flips, like what they do in BMX world, that you can't really do on motorcycles because of the gyro. Like, you can hit the brakes, lock everything down, and then start it back up and not worry about stalling. Like, I wish I was younger because I'm just old and crippled.
It's going to push the progression of the sport, you think?
It's going to be great.
Even though a lot of the old timers, like you're kind of, I think, alluding to your dad, don't like it.
Yeah, it's just, if it doesn't make noise, that feeling, the smell of gasoline.
I feel that.
But at the end of the day, like my kids growing up, they can, we're watching Supercross or something in the backyard, and their friends can all be riding motorcycles, and they can all be on their go-karts and then whatever. And as long as there's no dust, no one really cares. So it just opens up so many more tracks and opportunities.
The neighbors love it.
They do.
Yeah, our neighbors are
What
big
about
fans.
the urban moto, like the skate parks and with the Starks and stuff like that? I mean, it's cool. You can kind of get away with it, but it also might not be the best. Got Starks flying around the skate park with little kids on scooters.
I'm kind of against that part because eventually we're just going to get shut down and thrown out of everything. But the fact that they are quiet enough that you can do it is pretty cool.
You really got into freestyle motocross, and the bikes started progressing through that. But I would feel like gas bikes are pretty similar to what they would be. I don't know, what do you say, 2004 to now? There's not massive change. So short of going to electric, do you feel like you would have been better if you had the bikes now versus the bikes you had when you were a kid?
No, not really. At the end of the day, if you watch Supercross back in 96, like it's so slow compared to Supercross in 2005, compared to the riders get in better shape. But by the time you get great at your sport nowadays, you no longer love what you do. By the time you get good enough to do what you love, you no longer love what you do, because these kids are starting. I mean, I started at 4, but it was about having fun. Like, no one was pushing you, oh yeah, let's go, you're gonna make a living doing this. It was trying to push you the opposite direction. Like, you're wasting your time on skateboards and BMX and all this stuff. And now you can go to the Olympics doing this stuff. And it's gotten so much more difficult to be the best. You have to be so, it's taken a sport, in my opinion, I mean, motocross has always been around, but you have all these sports in freestyle and X Games that were all about having fun. Now you put it into the Olympics, and it changes the sport.
Yeah.
You know, the video parts aren't as big, but then, and we used to have a year to make a video part. You guys have to do a video part every week.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It's interesting how social media has played a factor in that of, you know, everything is so readily available now where you're scrolling Instagram and you might see somebody do a double backflip and you might not even finish the video because it's like the next thing that you see is going to be just as insane. Whereas when you did the first double backflip,
One of the greatest X Games.
but like you
moments in
had to
history.
be watching X Games to like see that. And I think just X Games in general was probably like, you know, at the peak when you had to be like physically watching it. Yeah. Like, what do you think that like social media has played a factor in just like elevating the sport of freestyle motocross and like how much crazier the tricks are getting?
Well, it's made it reachable. Everyone says, how do I get in Nitro Circus? Or how do I become... Dude, if you're doing something that no one else is doing, you can be in anywhere in the world from any walk of life. It's going to get you wherever you want to go. The hard part is that everything is visible, and they do show the crash, but they don't show the injuries, the everything else. I think it's a catch-22 because it's like in your face all the time. And before, if you came up with a good trick, you could save it for 6 months and come out at X Games or Gravity Games or whatever the event was. Now, as soon as you do it, it's online, and you have to do something better next week, not even next month.
Where's the line in the sand get drawn of like, you know, this is how crazy the sport can get until it's like you're trying to 5 backflips, and if you don't land it, you're dead.
No, but it gets more creative. You got like Axel Hodges. He's like, all right, I don't want to do the flips. He's doing flips now and stuff, but he's like, I'm going to do like landing wheelies and all this other fun stuff. So it's always about being creative and finding, like you guys, you're not reinventing the wheel, but you're like, what do I really love to do? And at the end of the day, Cletus has proved it out here. If you're passionate about something and you love it, you're going to do it anyway. And you're going to find people that are passionate about the same thing.
No, I think for sure, though, like when you're passionate about something or you just want to do it, the end result's going to be so much better than if you're just doing something for money or clout or whatever. But and that is a testament of today. You look at the lineup of people that are coming here, like huge names, and like they're just coming literally for fun. No one's being paid to do this. They're coming because they love driving. They love, you know, this scene. I mean, I still go back and watch your double backflip. Dude, it's so lit. It's just so lit. And, like, it was jam-packed in there. Like,
yeah, well, it's Tony Hawk's 900, and now there was literally an 11-year-old that was warming up with 9s going for 10s, and you're like, when did this happen?
Yeah, so do you think that it happened because now it's like the training regimen is just people are crafting a training regimen? I can't imagine people were training as hard back in the day versus now. Like in terms of like fitness, do you feel like no?
Definitely. Oh, motocross a little bit, but now that there's so much more at your fingertips. I mean, success leaves breadcrumbs. But the thing was, it used to be the Metal Militia and Brian Deegan, Crush Stadiums of Dirt. People just went out. Like Jeff Immig and McGrath were the top racers, and they were still doing freestyle. They were going out and riding and having fun. At a certain extent, racing has lost a little bit of that passion, but at the same time, not taking anything away, because these guys work so much harder. They put their whole lives, their parents have sacrificed their family, and if you can get on top of a sport nowadays, I don't care what it is, you have dedicated, sacrificed, you've blood, sweat, and tears, and I have so much respect for anyone that's made it, but that's why events like this work. It's not about the money. People just love driving. They love being around people that are passionate and having fun, and it's really cool to be able to come out and meet you guys, hang out, and have some fun.
How about, so like you mentioned Metal Militia, back when it was Brian Deegan versus Travis Pastrana, like did you guys actually not like each other? Or maybe I don't know, like how did you feel like towards each other? Like do you think you would ever like get in a physical altercation back then? Like was it possible, or was that even like?
So the funniest part about that was in the start of freestyle motocross, you had Mad Mike Jones, Clifford the Flying Hawaiian Adam Tante, Cowboy Kenny Bartram.
Yeah.
Like we just wanted to figure out how to ride a motorcycle and have fun and to make a living at it. And everyone was building the sport in any way they could, building their image, building whatever we could to be able to go and do circus tricks on a motorcycle and to be able to travel the world with your friends and find cool places to ride. So I was just this goody two-shoes, straight-A student racer that happened to really like freestyle motocross. And Brian, as a showman, was like, hey, I got a way that this is going to work. Like, Brian went to a level so far above and beyond. Like, he didn't have a trick for Gravity Games one year. And he told all the producers and everyone at NBC, like, this is when, before YouTube, like, it's a big network. And he's like, I got the biggest tricks. I'm not showing anyone I got the biggest tricks. It's going to be, everyone's building up Brian Deegan, the Metal Militia. He picks a fight with a police officer the day before.
Wow.
Doesn't post bail.
What a businessman.
And the whole thing was, the man's keeping him down. And I'm like,
oh my God.
Dude.
Oh, he would have crushed you. Like, I won Gravity Games.
So he just took the rug right out from under you.
Completely. I'm like, what? He had nothing. But like, he's a very smart human being. I wouldn't have gone the same route, but Deegan was great because he knew he did work hard, despite what his image and everything. And he knew exactly what he had to do and when he had to do it. And even if he didn't have it, he would go for it anyway. And I think that's what the crowd liked, because he's like, well, I haven't won in 2 years. I got to send something big. And he'd go out and he'd be willing to die, literally.
Yeah.
So were people taking sides as far as like, I'm team TP or team Deegan, and would they have any kind of like altercations?
Like if you were walking down the street and you saw someone in some Metal Militia gear, were you like, oh, fuck?
I was just too goofy to realize anything was going on, honestly. And Deegan was great. Like, my parents would come up, he's like, hello, Miss Pastrana.
Oh, so he was pretty cordial behind the scenes almost.
He was, but it's not that he didn't believe anything. Like, he was honest. He just figured out a way. He's like, look, this kid, there has to be an opposite. There's got to be a fight. There's got to be a show. I just didn't know that I was part of it. I was just me.
Yeah, so that answers my question. Yeah.
It's kind of like a WWE almost. Like, you had the heel and you had the, I can't remember what they call it, like the good guy and the bad guy. Yeah,
exactly. I just didn't know I was playing a role. Thank goodness that Deegan did, because it helped us all the way through. Unfortunately, like, as a teenage kid coming up, like, kind of dorky, straight A student guy, like, Deegan had all of the girls, all of the...
Really?
Like, all the parents were like, go get him. His line is like, just strippers and stuff.
I feel like you would have been in Metal Militia.
Yeah, the whole time I just picture Evan being that.
I did rock a lot of Metal Militia gear over the years, I will admit that.
Yeah.
But I was never not on Team Pastrana.
Oh, thanks, man.
Dude, what year was it that you guys were both going for the 360s?
You see, now this was 2002, LA Coliseum. It was absolutely awesome. So I didn't know, like, YouTube was just really starting, and my friend posted something on the internet. Deegan saw it. So my friend Chris Haynes, thank you, Chris, posts this on the internet about a month and a half before X Games. Deegan sees it, has a foam pit, and gets it. Doesn't qualify as well, does the 360 first, names it the Militia Twist. I'm like, how did he see it? He's like, I saw it on the YouTube, man. You should check it out.
Oh, got leaked.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was the first of many leaks. Now that's but now it's a platform that's not just a leak platform. It's you can, like, literally, you guys are doing it.
Back then, though, it was like kind of you just posted it and you weren't expecting people to see.
Yeah, he saw it.
Has anyone recreated the TP7?
Not yet. So
dude, that's the craziest. Like, to date, I've said it on this podcast multiple times. That is the craziest trick I've ever seen done.
So it was easier to add a flip. So with a dirt bike, the only way to really start the rotation, like, you can get it spinning real fast in a flip, but it's not like a BMX bike or something, or a scooter where you can kind of spin it off the lip. So you got to pull the flip first. And it's so hard. Like, you can do a backflip 180 pretty easily because you pull a flip, and as hard as you can pull and as hard as you can spin, you get a half of a rotation of spin to a full rotation of flip. So I was like, it's going to be easier to add a flip. It's like, I'm going to do a double cork 1080 or whatever.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So that was actually way easier. So I started doing it on mountain bikes, and I'm so inconsistent with, like, the backflip 360.
Just add another flip.
Add another flip.
Just add a flip.
Makes sense.
Would that have been easier on a Stark?
Yeah, way easier.
With the electric torque?
100%.
Well, did I hear a rumor that there might be like a triple 720 maybe in the works?
Not for me.
Not for you.
Yeah, no. No one's completed any, like, even a backflip with the twist yet. They're still catching up to 2012, but they'll get it.
That is pretty cool. That's what I mean. Like, on technically older technology, people are still chasing the bar that you set.
So most people, they wanted to win. For me, racing was winning. Freestyle was always about fun. So even when there was money involved, like I was always a racer at heart. And I'd be like, all right, I don't even care really if I win this event. I want to do something cool, something that's never been done, something that pushes myself and the bounds of what can be done like on a motorcycle in general. And I would use kind of all the money that I made in freestyle to build ramps and we had a 44-foot tall takeoff ramp. We were going over 100 feet in the air trying triple backflips. And most people just showed up, looked at the ramp, giggled, and left. Never came back.
Thank you so much to Shopify for sponsoring this podcast. Black Friday and Cyber Monday is coming. And if you're going to shop on our website, CboysTV.com, you will be browsing on a website made using Shopify. Shopify is home to the #1 checkout on the planet. And if you have a business and you're not using Shopify, you are only hurting yourself and your business. We absolutely love using Shopify, and I know that you will too. And it's no secret that businesses that want to grow with Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that we use at CboysTV.com. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at Shopify.com/wideopen, which is all lowercase. Go to Shopify.com/wideopen now to upgrade your selling today. That is Shopify.com/wideopen. Thanks so much for sponsoring the podcast, Shopify. Cause and effect seems simple. An action causes a reaction. And if you're going to treat a problem, the best way to stop the reaction is to remedy the action. OneSkin is here to treat the root causes of skin aging, not the effects of skin aging. Their scientifically proven skincare routine has made a noticeable difference in my own skin and how it looks and feels, and I love that I'm treating the cause of the skin aging and not just putting on some lotion. Their OS01 peptide works at the cellular level to switch off the dysfunctional cells that cause your skin to become dry, dull, and age faster than it needs to. So take advantage of this exclusive bundle while it lasts. As a listener, you'll get 15% off using code WIDEOPEN when you check out at oneskin.co. Invest in your skin's long-term health this holiday season because healthy skin is a gift, and OneSkin is the world's first skin longevity company, and OneSkin addresses skin health at the molecular level, targeting the root cause of aging so skin behaves, feels, and appears younger. It is time to get started with your new face, eye, and body routine at a discounted rate today. Get 15% off with the code WIDEOPEN at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code WIDEOPEN. When did airbags come into the landing?
Carey Hart actually started with an airbag before even the foam picks. We thought, being a petroleum product, that foam wasn't going to be a great idea. They didn't have the double compartment. The technology wasn't quite there. So, Carey actually dislocated his shoulder and broke his collarbone first time on an airbag. He landed on it fine, did a backflip. He's like, I did it. And then it bounced him off onto the ground.
No way.
So the first airbag was more just like a bouncy castle.
Yeah.
You just have one chamber full of air.
So as stunts and as everything gets better, but we actually worked with a company called Bag Jump out of Austria. And Josh Sheehan could only do about 3 triples attempts a day. So he would drop about 60 feet out of the air onto a flat bag. And with the motorcycle on top of you, it was just bad, piss and blood. Not a good thing. So he's like, what if we can get the bag flat? Because even with front flips, anything you're doing, how you're landing on a flat bag is totally different than you're going to land. So we developed the first bag on an angle, and it was cool because when we got hit up by all this snowboarders and Olympic committees from all over the world, they're like, "Oh, how'd you do this?" And then Bag Jump took it and they perfected it and made it a lot cheaper eventually. But it's cool to be on that kind of forefront of safety.
Yeah, your compound, Pastrana Land, just legendary in itself. And I think anyone growing up that watched Nitro Circus or Freedom Factory, looked at having a compound like that and was just dreamed of it. And especially with us, when we got our shop and, we built our tracks and everything like that, you just kind of chip away at it and eventually you got a cool compound. Is that kind of what the case was with Pastrana Land? Did you just get a piece of land and add a ramp and a foam pit and just kind of continue to build onto it and make it into what it is?
My hero growing up was a guy named Guy Airtime Cooper. He was Mr. Suzuki, they called him. So I was on Suzuki. I'm 8 years old. This guy's, a multi-millionaire, and he comes around the corner in a beater car, just flogging this thing and just smashes into the side of his shed. Didn't even know we're there. He's just doing it because he just
how he is.
Yeah. And I'm like, this guy's awesome. My mom's like, can you believe this guy that's he's literally he's got blood on him from this morning. He's covered in just Oklahoma red dirt. All you can see is the whites of his teeth. Just giggling. He's like, that doesn't seem like someone that has a lot of money. I'm like,
you were like, that's the dream.
This is what and he had tracks and motorcycles and go-karts, and it was Cooperland. Mm-hmm. So that was always my goal, was to have a little mini Cooperland. And over the years, it's become a mega Cooperland.
It's a full-on compound.
Yeah.
But
I think anyone dreams of going there. Our buddy Gavin's been there. Hopefully one day we can come. Quite honestly, we're pretty scared because being forced into doing something like a backflip, not forced into it, but I feel like you have to when you go to Pastrana land.
The hard part is when there's like an 11-year-old girl doing a backflip to dirt, and you're like, not to be sexist, but you have to. Like, it was cool. The blocks came over, and Kira, Ken's middle daughter, like doesn't really ride dirt bikes, and we were trying to get Micah to do it. Micah's like, I don't know, I don't think I want to. Kira just comes out of nowhere and just like launches it, like seat bounces. She was so high, and I'm like, this is awesome. It's a place that people either go and they go all out. They're like, I'm going to do everything, and they get hurt really quick, or they go, I'm not touching anything here, and then they don't get to experience any of it. So it's rare that we find that crew. Like the Sickos came over. Like those guys were just a crew that I didn't know a lot about. And, 5 of 7 of the guys went to dirt on day one.
Yeah, that's pretty
they
great.
send it. They send it.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
But they've got good aerial awareness. Like they do flips on skis and stuff like that, which I feel like I know for 100% I lack.
Well, Ryan did a backflip on a stand-up jet ski. It took him 3 years,
Yeah.
but he did it.
But I did it.
Never give up.
Never surrender.
So you mentioned like the money and like putting it back into your compound. How much like different was the money back in say 2003, 2005 in freestyle versus now? Was there quite a bit more money if you took first place at X Games? I would imagine you'd get a pretty good prize.
Yeah, freestyle was huge. Heck, from 90, the early 90s when X Games started, then freestyle motocross got brought in 1999. So we had just started. Our first ever like freestyle world championship was in 98, which was awesome because Imig and McGrath were judging. Yeah, it was good. I crashed and they gave me 10s. It was like kids like, this is great. But sorry, tangent. But when we got to go to X Games, I mean, my grandma was watching. It was before the internet, so it's like people had to watch. It's on ESPN.
Right.
Like it's on a regular network. Like it was so cool for us.
You cancel your plans to be there to watch it live.
I remember that when X Games was on in the summer,
Yeah.
dude. It was like we didn't go outside for a whole week because you were
yeah.
watching X Games.
For me and my ADHD friends, it was the only TV we watched, and we did not miss anything. Watching Mira and Hawk.
Yeah.
And, oh, so cool.
Yeah,
So-
me and CJ used to watch Fuel TV. And it was later,
Yeah.
but Fuel had like all the channels like that. and
First
that's all we
hand,
would watch.
you'd have an episode on there. But yeah, like so like the money was obviously greater. Like, are you able to say like if someone took first place, like what kind of prize, like cash prize was that? If you're able to say.
Yeah, no, in 99, the first place was $10,000. And generally there weren't a lot of sponsors that were like Suzuki. I had to buy my own motorcycle. Like Suzuki paid
Really?
me as a racer, and they were like, if you take one of our bikes that we're giving you and do this freestyle stuff, like you're fired.
They didn't want to touch it.
Nobody. So it was kind of a weird little world that I was working in. But it's $10,000 for the first year, and by 2003, it's $50,000 for first. And
Wow.
generally there'd be a sponsor like a DC Shoes or whatever energy drink or whatever. You're getting double that, triple
Right.
that. You could go to X Games, and if you had decent sponsorship, you could win. One year I won like 3 gold medals, and each one of those was $50,000 plus it came with a $50,000 bonus. Or you had medical bills that were bigger than that, but still, like it was your one chance to just to go.
So is there more money now? Like with
No.
social media and sponsors?
Is there more money? Yes, but it's very different. Like even racing, Jet Lawrence, maybe Deegan could be exceptions. They've gone beyond motorsport, if you will.
Yeah.
Really taking that whole next generation up. Yeah, Cletus.
He's gonna do a burnout. Let's go. God, that thing's sick.
That's the 4th burnout I've seen him do today.
that guy loves doing
It's 11
burnouts.
a.m.
He does that all day long.
Smells like the Freedom Factory.
Kind of sounds like your truck been squeaking a little bit.
Yeah, it's got a little squeak. Mine's got more of a tick and a rattle, though. So
He doesn't have a hole in his bumper either.
Yeah, that thing's a little bit different than mine.
You think the moto guys are getting the money they deserve? I feel like they're underpaid right now.
Look, at the end of the day, if you're able to do what you love for a living, you're going to do it anyway. It's like Red Bull Rampage. They were doing it for free, and then Red Bull steps up, gives them a little bit of money. Someone gets hurt, and they're like, well, why aren't you paying them more? And they're like, well, these guys are doing it anyway. We're giving them something. For me, I've always thought I've been very fortunate to do what I love to do. And so my uncle was quarterback for Denver Broncos for 2 years. He got knocked out by, probably before your time, but I mean, definitely before all of our times, but he got knocked out by Hightower from Police Academy. There's actually a Pastrana rule in the NFL. At the time, the quarterback was the only one allowed to call timeout. So it was the first year they had like the playoffs, and my uncle is knocked unconscious. His teammates trying to get him to take his hands and put him together. So after that, then the coaches are allowed to call timeout too. So yeah.
And it's called the Pastrana rule?
Well, no, but
We're calling it that for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but long story long, my uncle, because he was never quite the same after just a lot of concussions. They just didn't know a lot back in the day. His knees, they just, inject him with whatever and just, hey, keep on going. So he destroyed his body and then became a, health teacher in local community college. And my dad said, he's the best athlete that's come out of our town, maybe our state. And he's still working construction and he's teaching health at the local community college. He's like, you're never going to make a living doing what you love to do. But any day that you cannot get up and do construction, do it. He's like, I would give anything to be able to take one lap around Daytona or to do whatever. So I kind of came at it with this different mentality where everyone else was like, oh, I got to win. My dad's like, look, just work hard. If you love it, do it. If you don't, it's not worth the physical. There's no amount of money worth what you're going to put your body through. So he was the guy on the pit board. Like, my dad's a Marine, and he's tough. Like, work hard. But at the end of the day, he's the only dad that had slowed down on the pit board. Like, if I was going too out of control or like launching, it's like, just don't do the big jump. You're going to kill yourself.
Man, that did not work with you, I bet.
No, I was doing it anyway.
I was going to say, was it like reverse psychology? Like he knew what he was doing? Slow down, you were only going to twist it wider?
No, like, so there's one year, so I'm 11 years old, and I was pretty big for the ADCC motorcycle at that time. And we basically mortgaged completely out. And the dad's like, look, Mom too, hey, we'll work 2 jobs. We'll figure out how to make this happen. Or all my uncles are taking, basically pay cuts to get the gas and everything. So we go out, and he's like, we have to win this championship. And I'm dominate the first 2 motos, 3-moto format. And there's this big jump that freaking Ricky Carmichael's doing. And
you're 11?
So he was like, he's 14, and he's on a big wheel, so he had like a little bit more power. And I'm like, I can do it. Dad's like, just win. Like, look, we've spent every last dime. We need this championship. Like, we just, if you want to race motorcycles, you just don't do the jump. I'm like, but I can make it. It's like, nobody cares. Like, literally no one cares. Just win this championship, please. Let's get Suzuki happy. Like, we're going to get sponsors. They're going to give us like enough money in Suzuki bucks to like pay for gas to like get home. Last lap, hit the jump, landed, 2 black eyes, bloody nose, didn't break anything because the motorcycle, the hub, like the whole wheel collapsed. Forks went in the ground, broke the bike off, like at the handlebars.
You cased it that hard?
Oh, it was bad. It was 50-50. Just the front end of the bike went that way, the back. So, face plant, like it was a hit. My dad came over, and he was deciding whether he was going to be super, super pissed off or like worried if I was actually alive because the bike he just sees is broken in half. So he jumps over the gate. So he sees that I'm okay. He starts yelling, and I'm laughing. I'm like, did you see that? And he just starts laughing. He's like, okay. He's like, well, if I learned anything from his brother, it's that you do this because you love to do it. We're giving you an opportunity to chase your dreams, however far that may be, and you're going to, at 16, you're going to be working construction with us, or you're going to join the military like the rest of us did or whatever. But you're too stupid to ever make it as a racer. And thank God freestyle came out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my life in a nutshell.
Wow. So
Don't do it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, impulse thoughts one on that one, huh?
I thought I could make it.
Realistically, going to freestyle was the best thing that ever happened to you. You just became an even bigger star. Like,
so, I mean, racing, like the motorcycle industry, the racers will never forgive me. They're like, you came out at 16. I was the youngest person to win outdoor national championship, went over, represented the U.S. in motocross nations, won the motocross nations, won the supercross the next year at 17. Like, it was a great start. And I just wanted to have fun, and I wanted to do freestyle. And then Carey Hart does a backflip. I'm like, oh, let's try that. And I break my foot halfway through the season. I didn't miss a race, but like, just, there was just those things that Roger DeCoster is like, dude, I'm paying you to and I would work hard. Like, I'd put in the time. I'd running, bicycling, doing everything. It's just when everyone else was resting,
you were having fun.
Still riding my dirt bike. That was what I loved to do. And I was very fortunate that my parents allowed me to kind of chase these dreams. And I turned down a multi-million-dollar contract to race motorcycles because I wanted to try racing cars. And I put every dime that I made in motocross. My dad's just shaking his head. He's like, why? But, but it's because of him. It's because of my parents. It's because they always allowed me to chase my dreams. And if I did exactly what everyone wanted me to do, the oldest ever Supercross champion was 29 years old. Like, I'm 41. We're here at the Freedom Factory. We're still living this dream. And it's different now. It's changed. I'm a little bit older, a little bit more crippled, but like, I still have fun every day waking up. And now I get to do it with my wife, who's 3-time X Games gold medalist. And, my kids, they went into cheer. I thought, the tumbling and the flipping and stuff was going to lead them action sports. But it's great because I can go to a cheer comp and not one person recognizes me all
Yeah,
day.
you're a cheer dad, huh?
Yeah, hell yeah, I'm there, you know.
You've been famous for a really long time, over 2 decades now, right? Does it get old?
So we were on vacation in Europe this year, and a guy comes over and our waiter, and he actually starts crying. He just pushes like my wife aside and like he's like, "Can you take a photo?" And she's like, "Really?" He barely speaks English,
Yeah.
and we can't get away from it. But what's really cool about that is the day that stops is the day that I can't go out and crash cars and ride motorcycles and hang out with my friends and fly around the world. Now, my goal, not honestly, with starting a YouTube channel is to be like you guys. It's to have this group together. Like I wanted to have my friends together and travel the world, and we did that. Now I don't really want to travel the world. I want to be with my family. And the YouTube's given us a chance to, all of us that are a little bit older, that don't really want to be the best in the world.
Yeah.
You know, we still want to push ourselves, and sometimes that's doing stuff that's never been done. Just taking that mentality and trying to get it, what we do.
And that's something I really admire about you is how you set up camp, you know, in Maryland where you grew up. And then you still have all of your best friends around you. Like you got Street Bike Tommy and Andy Bell hops out of the van. Like it is very much so like us. Like I said, you guys are just a lot more skilled. But like we grew up, you know, a small town together and now we're hanging out doing all this stuff.
Is there any advice that you would have for us, you know, being that you've done so much with your friends, you know, just ways to avoid conflicts that you've maybe had?
Not really. I think that in the end, people grow apart and most of the time grow back together. Because it's hard because a lot of times there's just so many hours. Like everyone sees the good side of it, but you know, editing the videos and getting stuff out and trying to get the sponsors and figure out, you know, how it's actually going to be sustainable. It's not easy. You guys have done awesome. But the biggest thing for us was that like Andy Bell at one point, he goes, "Hey, it's not enough money for me. Like it's $50,000 that we were all going to get to do a movie." And Andy goes, "I can't put my life on hold for $50,000. He's like, I got a wife, I got a mortgage, I got, you know, I can't quit my job for this." So he went and he said, "But I think I could be a producer. I could be a director. I could do this." So he started Sweatpants Media. And they had the second biggest commercial last year. He's going on to win Emmys and all kinds of stuff. And now he can run his production company, and he's the big boss that doesn't really have to be there.
Wow.
So he can come on and he can produce all this stuff, and then he can hire himself as the stunt driver for the stuff and to be
He's
around.
doing it again still.
And a lot of times people will go away, but most of the time they'll come back. Like, you know, at the end of the day, Street Bike Tommy is still hanging sheetrock, and Jim DeChamp is now working, he's a crane operator. And Jim, we only see on the weekends.
Yep.
But he still comes over and he puts on mountain bike races at Pastrana land, you know, 3-4 times a year. And we go out there and we still push super hard, even though it looks like we're all out of shape, and we are. But, you know, it's still fun.
Now I'm sure you got billboards and whatever, you know, there's like a home of Travis Pastrana when you drive into town, but like what did your town think of you hooligans as kids? Like were they on board or were they like, I don't know about these guys?
We were pretty goody two-shoe, if you will. Like, I mean, we didn't, the only thing that I'm amazed at was that we lived on a postage stamp. I mean, we used my dad's and my uncle's construction. It was on like a half acre. So that's why I did freestyle, because it was always, you know, you had like 3 piles of dirt and they were always leaving and coming back, and rock piles, and it was basically like just build a track and, you know, race around the shop. But that's in the middle of Annapolis. It's a mile from downtown Annapolis, and no neighbors complained. So my dad was 1 of 9. And they were like all-American football, lacrosse, so like, and then construction. So the town knew us. You grew up, if you were in the town, you were with one of my uncles or aunts, or you know, the family is pretty big in that area. So they drove too fast, but
yeah,
they had a general respect for the law.
So they liked you guys.
We didn't cause a lot of disturbances, other than the fact that we're loud. And
we were surprised when we got to hang with Greg Godfrey and some of went to those places in Utah, and we couldn't believe that some of these zones that you thought were like way out in the middle or wherever, and you're like, oh, it's just right behind the trucking shop. Like it was just, you guys had just carved what you needed into this little zone.
Yeah, even people think like Pastrana land is huge, and they go around back, it's just a ramp graveyard, but we build everything. It's 20 acres. Like we've got some trees around the outside.
Going on there for 20 acres.
There's a lot of building. But you know, it's our friends now. Like I said, like Andy is a producer, and we got Nate Wessel is a welder, and like our whole crew, no matter what we need done, no matter what we need built, we've got access to everything. And that's kind of what's really neat about being there and being home.
Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals are in full swing, and nobody's got time to worry about how they smell. Mando's 72-hour formula keeps you fresh, even on those nonstop days when you're juggling gift lists, long lines, and family gatherings. Mando is clinically proven to control odor better than a shower alone with soap. The best part is there's no baking soda, no barbers, and with scents like bourbon leather, Clover Woods, Mount Fuji, or Pro Sport, there is a scent for everyone. Mando is my deodorant that I use every single day. I love how it works and I love how it smells. So Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. And as a special offer for our listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code, which equates to over 40% off your starter pack when you use the code WIDEOPEN at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. Nicotine has taken over the world. Everyone has their preferred way of getting their nicotine, whether it's pouches, vaping, or you might even still have a few friends that's on chew or cigarettes. The thing is, if you're going to use nicotine, you should be using Lucy. Lucy is 100% pure nicotine and, as always, tobacco-free. Each Lucy pouch holds a capsule that breaks open to release extra flavor and hydration. Lucy sent us a test pack, and I don't use nicotine anymore, so I gave it some of the boys that do, and I have some reviews from them. One of the guys said it was way better than anything that they've ever had before, and the flavor breakers are his favorite part. And the other one who tried it says he's been using Lucy to lock in while he's doing ordering, and it's the best, and it tastes great, and makes him feel great. So let's level up your nicotine routine with Lucy.com. Go to lucy.co/wideopen and use promo code WIDEOPEN to get 20% off your first order. Lucy has a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. And again, that is lucy.co and use code WIDEOPEN to get 20% off. And here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. And warning, this product does contain nicotine, and nicotine is an addictive chemical. Thank you for sponsoring the podcast, Lucy.
With the YouTube channel, do you guys want to continue to do, things outside of maybe dirt bikes and just the general motorsports that you've been doing?
Without a doubt. My goal is to be able to build fun stuff, go-kart tracks, so like drift pads, anything. Even what Cletus is doing here, like really want to build a next level, like nitro cross style Can-Am course. That is like hell track. Scary to drive. And then just start inviting like guys like you and be like, all right, let's go.
Have at it.
Dude, we will flip a Maverick so fast.
Oh,
that is
man.
one thing that we are guaranteed to do.
Every single one.
So that normally happens, but it was cool. We had Noah Gregson come over because he was going to drive the side-by-sides this weekend at Nitro Cross. He was on 2 wheels in the first turn. He had never driven all-wheel drive in his life. He never flipped. He never broke anything. He never hit a tree. I've never been so impressed.
Well, he's also a professional NASCAR racer.
But some people they're like, oh, NASCAR, those guys, they just turn left. No, they're not only the best drivers, but they drive 5 times a week, and every lap is on the clock.
Man, anyone that's just saying you just go fast and turn left, I don't think has been to a NASCAR race and experienced it up close. It's insane how fast they're going.
So Street Bike Tommy, we were doing a drift pad. And he's like, well, I could beat anyone at NASCAR. I'm like, what? I'm like, all right. So we get out, and he's like, well, I'm good until the car starts sliding. And I thought, Tommy, you're just aiming it until the car starts sliding. Like, I was going around a corner, and I was drifting this whole corner, and freaking my teammate, Trevor Bain, comes around the outside of me at Bristol, first time there. Like, what are you doing? He's like, well, what's sliding? I'm like, dude, I'm sliding the whole corner. He goes, front or rear? And I'm like, rear. He's like, well, then tighten it up. He goes, until the car is sliding all 4 wheels equally. And then if one starts sliding more than the other, the front or whatever, you change your entry, and then we have these little fans that go to basically just diverts air onto the tires. They're like, you got to have the air pressure has to come up to temperature equally. So it's not just driving as fast as you can.
It's so technical.
Oh, it was amazing. So I learned a lot that I didn't know. I was cold trickle. Put me in the car, I could drive, could do a couple laps good. Could never figure it out to the end.
Oh, my gosh. That's going to be me today. I'm just trying to figure out how to not hit the wall.
It's going to be fun.
How long did you race NASCAR? You got to do the Daytona 500, and it's like the dream of any guy who's ever driven a car ever, so driving the Daytona 500.
I literally went to NASCAR. So I won 4 U.S. Rally Championships, and it was either go to Europe and chase the WRC or try something else. And I'm like, man, I don't know anything about NASCAR. Let's go. And I showed up to the first race with a T-shirt that said boring in NASCAR font. Got my ass kicked, and I was like, all right, Not physically, just on
yeah.
the track. I'm like, wow, these guys are actually really, really good. And they all, like, everyone's like, oh, it's a good old boys club. You'll never get in there. Dude, everyone helped out so much. No,
Evan?
it was rad.
Not to call Evan out, but I'm going to. You feel the same way about NASCAR. You're like, they're just turning left.
No. I was stating from a spectator's point of view that I didn't think it was the most exciting form of racing to watch, like on TV. But I knew it's all strategy when, like, they're all on the same track. I've never thought that you didn't have to have skill in just two.
Well, as soon as the cameras are off,
Yeah.
NASCAR's Cheeto.
I think we have a podcast, you saying all you got to do is turn left and push the gas.
Yes, but I'm saying from the
I said it, but what I
meant from the viewing standpoint, like, I guess I'd rather watch like a drifting or something.
Yeah,
Well, strategy
it's fair,
isn't fun
okay.
to watch. Action's fun to watch, not strategy. So
We're big NASCAR guys as of recently, actually. We went to our first race in
Especially when they gave us free
March or
drinks.
April. Yeah, that was a good part, too.
That worked out.
The cool part about NASCAR is, like, literally not anybody can win, but the best average finish this year was 12th place. That's, like, unheard of in
So
any
many
other
things
sport,
can
right?
just happen.
That's crazy. We went to Talladega, and there was a crash over the finish line. Well, thankfully, no one was hurt, but it was so electric. Oh, my God. We're just, like, throwing our drinks in the air. We're high-fiving each
Like
other.
a car that
the
was
car
like
goes
on its side riding the wall, like right there in front of us. It was insane.
across the finish line. It was so insane.
My first run at Daytona, following Tony Stewart, I was like, freaking, this is awesome. Like, kind of getting bounced around last lap. Someone hits Larson. He goes up, his car disintegrates, and it's, like, in the fence. You know, you're going 200 miles an hour. I didn't know where to go, so I go across the grass, and I'm spinning backwards through the grass at 200 miles an hour, and I still got 10th. And I was so bummed. I'm like, man, Tony, he won the race. He could have been top 5. My dad's like, dude, I would have given anything to be going backwards across the grass at 200. That looks awesome.
How come you never got into riding snowmobiles?
Because dirt bikes are snowmobiles, but you do it in the warm.
You don't fuck cold?
No.
I can't blame you there.
You did backflip a snowmobile though, didn't you?
That was my first time on it, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
My friends are horrible. They said it's like a four-wheeler. It's not like a four-wheeler. You guys all lied to me.
Yeah, there's no wheels.
So I couldn't turn it at all, but I'm like, the jumping seems fine. There was like a little, a hill. And like, we'll hit the freestyle ramp. Can't feel my fingers, can't feel my feet. I got mittens on.
Hard to hold on to the bars with mittens.
It was. So I jumped it once, and I went all the way to flat. Like, because it doesn't have gears. Like, I was kind of like the Stark. Like, I don't know.
Hard to gauge.
Yeah, I didn't gauge it correctly. So I overjumped, so I like just slam and fall off. And then someone's like, you said you could flip anything. Fine. So I can't feel my fingers, and the glove, the mitten blows off my right hand, and I'm upside down doing a one-handed backflip. And I'm like, oh, I see. There's the ground. So I jumped off, and I penguin dove down the landing. It was ice.
Oh, you were going straight to snow.
It was a metal ramp set at 75 feet, because why would you try it at 40 first or something?
Right, yeah.
And
So first, like, hour of riding a snowmobile.
No, first 5 minutes.
So you overshoot the first one, and then you just go straight for the backflip.
Because I crashed anyway. It sucked. I might as well look cool doing it.
That is so insane.
And then I didn't try it again because luckily the sled kind of like disintegrated on landing. But I was fine. I was just penguin sliding down the landing like, please don't land on me.
it's a nice thing about snow. It's a little bit of cushion.
No, this was ice.
Yeah, ice doesn't have much cushion.
It sucked.
You've never rode in the mountains?
Yes, Andy Bell took me to the mountains, and they were very disappointed they took me because I was stuck. Nothing made sense. So I got on one that had like a track on the back of the motorcycle, and then I can
Snow bike.
but then it was like an underpowered like 125 that weighed
they
as
don't
much
get
as-
around that well.
And now you're like half metal, so the metal can't feel good in the cold, right?
You need a hot tub all the time, yeah. And everyone's like dressed for it, but then you dress warmer and then you're sweating. So then you take it off and then you're frozen. It's just no.
So our friend Levi LaValle,
He's the man.
he is the man. When we had him on the podcast, he said that when he had talked to you, you said that you're very jealous of Levi LaValle because of the way that he's built.
Yes.
Short and knows how to take a fall because he can just kind of roll out of it, whereas you are taller, more lengthy, and you kind of more frail.
We always called Greg Godfrey the muscle hamster, but if there was any other muscle hamster, sorry, Levi, like he's gotten away with stuff that would have killed a mere mortal.
That's him.
Like, Evan, stand up and kind of get a
gauge.
reference here. Yeah, so like Levi's about the same size as Evan.
He's gotta be a little taller.
He's in a way better shape. Doesn't have as much going on down here. But yeah, I mean, even with Evan, like the dude knows how to take a fall. I think that's a big part of
I
it.
mean, you kind of
Just, like,
have to. It's like survival mode. You take the fall or don't. I don't
Yeah,
know.
but he's like a cat. You know, you've kind of alluded to a couple crashes that you've had and injuries. I heard that you've had 35 different surgeries.
This year, I got my 40th operation.
Which one is the worst?
Anyone that keeps you from doing what you love, man. It's honestly, the guy got a knee replacement. That sucked. I'm going in this year for actually next month for a new hip.
I was going to ask that. What was the worst injury, not because of the pain, but like the one that you miss? And maybe not like a competition, but maybe you were like, you and Lindsay were going to go on a trip and you couldn't go because you were hurt or something like that. Was there ever one that you were like, man, this one really wasn't worth it or sucked most?
No, I think everything kind of led me to where I am now, but definitely I had the flu really bad. I was in the best shape of my life. It was 1 week from the start of the championship, and I'd been sick for a whole week, and I was like, I'm just going to go ride the hills at Castillo Ranch, and Greg Godfrey's there, and the film crew's there, and it was a big step up that we had built. You ever seen something that you look at it, and you're like, it works, like the physics work, everything maths out, and you come up to it, and you just have this gut feeling, you're like, something's not right. You had that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Pretty often, actually.
About everything we build.
Believe it or not.
For whatever reason, your gut is usually right, and whether you manifest that. So I hit this jump as fast as the bike would go. Just tapped out 5th gear on a 250 two-stroke, and I hit it, and my legs collapsed, and I'm going up, and it was the funniest thing, because I was in the air, and I'm freaking out, because I'm going over 200 feet up a hill over 2 barbed wire fences.
Yeah, actually, I know exactly what you're talking about now. Right into the hill.
And I'm going over the bars, and I'm like, I have to get off, but I'm going 70 miles an hour, and I'm 30 feet off the ground. I'm like, this sucks. So I jump off, and I had this feeling for a split second, and it was like everything kind of slowed down for me. And I giggled, and I was like, well, this is kind of cool. Like, I'm flying through the air, guys. And then it hurt really bad, and I blew up my knee, and I pretty much ruined my racing career. But because of that jump, and it seemed like the worst thing ever at the time, and even my dad was upset. He's like, dude, you committed to racing. Just like, what the hell are you doing? And it allowed me to then take a step back from racing, get into car racing, and it changed my life to where I can still be driving events now. So it was, hindsight, it was pretty good, but at the time, it was pretty devastating.
So
I can imagine the feeling of flying 70 miles an hour just as you're going up into a hill.
God, I bet.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I've just never had that before where you had time to like be panicked.
Pause.
And be like,
No, I'm cool now.
This is going to suck, but it doesn't suck yet.
When I think about, what was it, early 2000s, you're on a 125 and you case bad.
Got to be more specific.
It was like your pelvis. Lake Havasu?
Oh, yeah.
What year was that?
So that was 1998. I actually signed
98.
my pro contract in it was my 15th birthday. I signed my pro contract for Suzuki in a wheelchair at that point. So
wow.
I got a question for you guys. Have you ever woken up and you think you're dreaming, but you hear and you're wondering who's making that sound? And you're just like, I want to sleep, man. Who's making that god awful noise?
And
then
you were making
that
it?
you can't breathe.
My God.
It's stopping when you're stopping. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's funny that you bring up the concussion thing. Like, I've had like kind of a weird string pretty much for the last decade. Like, I've just had a lot of concussions, and like it's just tougher for me now. Like, small things can like make it almost feel that way. I oftentimes think about like feel like I have a concussion even though I don't, and it goes away after like a day or two, or sometimes a week, sometimes it takes a month. My question to you is like, how do you, like, if you have do you have even a protocol after you knock yourself out, or if you do something and does it ever, you give yourself symptoms?
Interesting thing about concussions is, had a great opportunity to go down to some of the top military doctors through the boot campaign, and they invited 3 of the Nitro Circus crew just to actually kind of do more data, more testing and whatnot. Generally, on a dirt bike, you're not as prone to like CTE and that kind of stuff, because if you hit your head hard enough to have a concussion, you probably have something else that's keeping you down. The interesting thing is the doctors down there said, look, if you're in an action sport, if you're in a contact sport, and you've made it to a professional level, chances are you're predispositioned to be able to take a pretty good hit. So it was interesting that a lot of the top freestyle motocrossers and top racers, our grandfathers were almost all boxers. My granddad was Golden Glove boxer. Like, I don't know, genetically or whatever, it just seems like the people that are able to make it long enough to get in there have ancestry of people that like to get hit in there. or maybe that's just the next step. I don't really know. What's interesting talking to the doctor was, he's like, I could have someone that is knocked out cold for 15 minutes, and I would do the test and whatever, but I would put them right back in and they're fine. And you have some people that don't even get knocked out, that he goes, they could never come back to doing stuff. And so each head injury is unique, and they have protocols in there to generally help, because no athlete's ever going to say, oh, I'm not well. They're going to lie, and they're going to get back out there. And the protocol is just a general, but the only person that really knows if you're okay to get back out there is the person that had the head injury. And sometimes you could have no real concussion, and I was throwing up for 3 months, and I didn't even get knocked out.
Wow.
You know, sometimes emotions are different. Like one of my buddies, he was like, his mom said something, and he yelled at his mom. He's like, whoa, which is like, and then you start crying, and you're like, whoa, why am I crying? Like, what is going on? So definitely something that knowing more about is good, because even the people around you kind of have to understand that you got to take it easy during this time. Like if you hit your head in the same spot twice before it heals, it's a problem.
It's kind of what happened to you, right? I mean, there was like 2 injuries, short succession.
Yeah, similar, but no, I'm doing a lot better now. So, but you just kept bringing it up, and I've always thought of you whenever like I would be going through those times. I'm like, man, how was he like okay, you know? And like you're just like no, I mean you are like you're just like you're thriving, and I was just like, man, like I mean it's just inspiration, quite frankly. Like I'll be okay, you know. It's
a tough one. It's probably the hardest, because it's not like a bone is 6 weeks you're healed, pinned and plated, you're back on, but a head is something that, and no one really else can understand what you're going through, so it's a tough one. But glad you're doing it.
Yeah. No, Evan's crying.
Oh, dude, I really he's sweating so bad when we close this door.
You're crying.
I have sweat in my eyes, bro.
Dude, you do look like you're crying. It's okay, Ev.
He runs hot.
Yeah, dude, I don't know what happened.
You were sweating after the plane last night.
Might have
Dude,
been
the
the whiskey.
plane ride was hot, dude. No whiskey, no dark liquor.
So, Travis, one of our biggest idols growing up, was someone like you, someone like Rob Dyrdek, but also Ken Block. And, we were such big Ken Block fans. When his passing, it was just devastating for, everyone in the action sports world. I'm just curious, as someone that was close with him, what you thought his impact on the action sports world was and how prevalent it is now that he's gone.
That's a tough question, a very long-winded answer needed for it. But in general, you had a businessman that loved to ride motorcycles, that loved to drive, that loved to snowboard. And after he was able to sell DC shoes and then still run it, he was able to build the sport of rally. And when everyone was like, well, you can't, like, what kind of, you're going to do a Gymkhana video? Like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm just going to go have fun in my car. And just because he could and because he knew the business stuff, like, he shut down the Golden Gate Bridge just to see if he could do it, to do donuts on it. He shut down the 10110 intersection because it's the busiest intersection in the world. His mind worked very differently than, like, I was all about, hey, let's go drive and have fun. He was like, what can I do that no one else can do, and how can I do it better than it's ever been done before? He was thinking 2-3 years out. I'm thinking like 2-3 hours out. If I ever had an idea, I would run it by Ken. And he was the first one to be like, that's stupid, or whatever, or that's great, but let's do it right.
Tell you how it is.
But yeah, so he was personally lost. I think a lot of people lost that. Like, he was the guy that I went to whenever there was anything in life or anything. Like, he was just a solid human being. Great family man, great businessman, amazing driver. He was the one that was able to really take whatever he did and turned it to gold. And not just that, but he took the people around him. Like, for example, in rally, he took everyone in the U.S. Championship and made us all heroes so that when he beat us, he could be beating.
That's awesome.
He was
smart.
super smart about what he did.
That's so cool.
So cool.
I mean, he was, such an impact on so many different industries, honestly. How cool is it to be able to do a Gymkhana?
So I had been bugging Ken for the longest time. Like, if I had that, I could do that, like everyone says.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, we're going to do the final scene for Gymkhana 10. I was like, sweet. He literally didn't tell me. So he brings me out there, and they couldn't start the motor because it's like $10,000 to start this stupid thing. So they didn't bring the engineer out to do it. So I'm pushing the car. So I'm like, you brought me out here to push your car so that you could, like, stop in the last scene and him driving, but they couldn't. So it was pretty funny. But he's like, all right, now get in. I'm like, what? He's like, get in. This shot that we're doing is you getting in the car, and you're going to pretend that you're stealing it, and you're going to start the next Gymkhana. And I was so excited, I completely forgot that it was a Ford monster car.
What?
And I just about got fired by all my sponsors. But now, what's interesting about that is he was currently selling Hoonigan. Now, he needed to prove that without Ken Block, Gymkhana could continue doing what Gymkhana does. And he basically came to me, he's like, we need 20 million views on this video. That's not me. He goes, the only thing that I'm going to say is it has to be an epic build. He goes, I don't care what sponsor you use, whatever. It has to be an epic build, has to be an epic location, and you can't do too much of this Nitro Circus flying BS. He's like, you can have a couple jumps. They got to be cool. But he goes, I want proximity to near-death situations. I want this to be a gymkhana with your flair. He's like, go. And it was the second highest viewed gymkhana, which was an awesome. But it was Ken as a businessman and as a friend to be like, all right, I'm going to give you this opportunity because you've talked so much crap. And at the end of the first day of filming, like I actually was doing donuts. The car caught on fire. It's late at night. We had we had rain come in, and it's supposed to be foggy the rest of the time. We had COVID, so it was our last, we had 3 days to shoot this, and we're a day behind after day one. And I called him almost crying, and he goes, all right, that's all I wanted. He goes, this is, and no matter how this does, you calling me in tears has made my entire life. So it was pretty funny.
Jeez.
Wow.
That was the Florida?
No, that was Maryland.
Was that the one where you jumped at like 160 super fast over
You're
the hill in the road?
Above the power lines.
Yeah, we figured that out with a projectile calculator, but the downforce on that Subaru was I took off at 140, which I thought was at least 5-10 miles an hour faster than I needed to go. It was the hand of God reached down and was like,
just
no.
Really?
had a 28G impact. I was seeing stars. I'm like,
yeah,
oh
I bet.
God.
What just happened?
At that speed on a 2-lane road, nonetheless.
Had you been driving over that road
Yes.
your entire life, and you were like, I wonder how
That's so
fast I can hit this?
I thought I could make it. So it was, the world record is 269 feet. So that was about 250 to the lip. And I was like, you can go 350 on this because you're just going to keep falling down this hill. And no kidding, because it had a bump in the road. A week before we went, they repaved it.
No.
Shut up.
So I was like,
You didn't tell them? They didn't know what you were doing?
from the time we scouted this road, I'm like, dude, I know. I ride a road bike on this, when I was actually in shape and used to ride bike. I rode over this every day thinking, man, you could probably hit this thing if you had a really fast car and make this big old tabletop. And they flattened it out. So we had to fake it. Or not fake it. We had to build a little kick at the top.
Last question to ring it out, a really quick one. I don't know if you can even answer it, but out of all of the Subaru body styles, which one do you think is the best good looking? Because we're all Subaru guys. We grew up just thinking the STIs were the sickest car on the street.
To be honest, when I think of a Subaru, I might not have been the best looking body, but the 555 World Rally car from McRae era, the 95 kind of era. The Group B era was amazing, but yeah, kind of that 2003 STI was definitely my favorite.
My favorite is probably the 06, the Hawkeye. I don't know. That's just what I like. When I was a kid, you see that driving on the street, oh, Mom, look, and they just looked awesome. But
our cameras are overheating.
Our cameras are overheating.
We appreciate your time today, dude.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is checking off a big goal to have you on here. It almost seemed unattainable.
Let's get you guys out to the house. I'd love to learn from you guys, whatever, even just film style. We kept filming. We were just overproducing stuff, and the stuff that's done the best is just phones. I'd love to see how you guys make it work.
Next time we hang out, hopefully at Pastrana land.
Woo! Thanks, guys.